Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for being with us. The federal election campaign is officially underway, with Canadians heading to the polls in a month. Leaders have been making election promises, from income tax cuts to affordability measures. But before we get into all of that, what issues are on the minds of Windsorites? Pratush Thayal reports.
Canada's 45th federal election has officially kicked off. The snap election is largely expected to focus on how the leaders will take on U.S. President Donald Trump's trade war. And that's top of mind for voters in Windsor too.
All this, the border talk and all the threats from the United States, and we are never the 51st state, and we are a sovereign country, and fighting for that sovereignty and making sure that nobody can take that away from us. And I think that's top of mind, like everyone else.
I wasn't too keen on Trudeau, but since he left and Carney came in, I like what he's doing to help us against the states and the tariffs.
Affordability and jobs are also top of mind for many.
Yeah, it would be the housing cost and just grocery costs as well. As a younger millennial, owning a house is right out of the picture, because housing costs is just through the roof right now. And even with rent, I'm lucky I just pay $500 right now, but I'm moving to London and they're $650 and up. So it's hard.
I'm going to vote for Pierre because I like what he stands for. My daughter in university has some concerns as to what she's going to do when she gets out. Yeah, as far as work goes.
Anything that help the economy to grow up.
I have no faith in my government, and I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. Till I actually see results, then I will vote for somebody.
Voters will head to the polls on April 28th in the shadow of Trump's trade war and annexation threats. Pratish Thayal, CBC News, Windsor.
Two local Liberal candidates got out of the gate early. They launched their campaigns first thing this morning, insisting that their party is the one to fight Trump and tariffs. Dawson Chen has more.
Eric Kuzmerchuk, the incumbent Liberal MP for Windsor-Tecumseh Lakeshore, has launched his re-election campaign, and he's wasting no time mentioning Canada's troubles with Donald Trump. He's framing it as a critical factor in the election, casting the Liberals as the best defenders of the nation.
This is a fight for our economy, but make no mistake, this is a fight for Canada's sovereignty. This is a fight for our Canada. And so I ask all of you, I ask our community to join the fight. Prime Minister Carney has the experience, the leadership, the confidence and the calm to unite Canadians against this unjustified, unprovoked economic trade war that President Trump has unleashed on Canada and this community.
An MP since 2019, Kuzmerchuk announced his campaign on Monday alongside the Liberals' federal candidate for Essex, political newcomer Chris Sutton. A longtime millwright with a penchant for cowboy hats and cowboy boots, Sutton also emphasized the need to stand against Trump.
If anybody who knows me knows, I'm loud and I'm very out there in your face kind of person, and that's what you need right now. What President Trump has done is unjust, and there's no reason for it. There really isn't. We have been one of the best trade partners in decades, okay? And we've been one of the closest allies with that country.
University of Guelph political science professor Julie Simmons says the two local Liberal candidates' strategy is in line with the party's national messaging of Canada Strong.
Unlike sometimes when we call an election and, it's ho-hum, we're back to the polls. This one definitely does have the feel of being a generational election, and one that clearly has one issue at the heart of it, and that is the relationship with the United States.
We'll find out if the strategy works 1 month from now. Among those trying to unseat Kuzmerchuk in Windsor-Tecumseh Lakeshore is Conservative candidate Mark McKenzie, who is also Ward 4 city councillor. The NDP's candidate for the riding is Alex Ilioski. And for the People's Party of Canada, Nick Babich. In Essex, Chris Sutton and the Liberals will be taking on incumbent Conservative MP Chris Lewis, who was first elected in 2019. Running for the NDP is Laurie Whiteman, and running for the People's Party of Canada, Jason Henry. As of Monday, the Liberals had yet to announce their candidate for the riding of Windsor West. Dawson Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
Speaking of Windsor West, incumbent NDP MP Brian Massey is also kicking off his campaign at an event happening this evening, right now, in fact. Massey has a long history in Windsor West as he's held the riding since 2002, so he is making his pitch for re-election. We will have a full report on what he is promising voters on tomorrow's program. And now we have Colette Kennedy with us for our first look at weather. Colette, how's it looking out there?
Well, you know, we're contending with an area of low pressure. It's an upper low that's just kind of parked there. Now, it's not that close by. Here's southwestern Ontario. Here's that upper low, but it's having an influence, and kind of the biggest influence really at the moment is just the winds, driving those winds in gusty, and they'll carry on being quite gusty tonight. And then tomorrow we begin to see some changes, still kind of a breezy day. You'll notice elsewhere it's also still driving some precipitation here, mostly in the form of some flurries or very light wet snow, but we're actually in a situation where we'll get clearing skies. Still a lot of cloud cover early evening, but then we will get clearing as we get closer to midnight, and after midnight a low of 0, and then tomorrow a little bit better, mix of sun and cloud and up to 9 degrees, but still just a little bit breezy, Katarina.
Okay, thanks so much, Colette.
You're welcome.
Folks within the riding of Windsor-Tecumseh Lakeshore now have a Conservative candidate for the federal election, Windsor City Councillor Mark McKenzie. But something that's rubbing some people the wrong way is that there was no voting process to get him to that point. Instead, he was appointed by the party. And this has some upset voters expressing their frustrations online. Here's what some of them are saying. One person wrote on Facebook, "The whole process is incredibly disappointing. You've had over a year to vote on a candidate and follow the proper democratic process, and you didn't." Another posted, "The way you selected your candidate was undemocratic." But the Electoral District Association says the party was strapped for time, and there are dozens of ridings in a similar boat.
It was appointed because with the snap election, and it's been a very short campaign, we only got a month to campaign. And there wasn't time to go through the proper process where we could do the vetting process and do the interviewing process, and then have an election. And we would just take about two weeks of that time up. So the National decided that we have to appoint candidates.
I asked why the voting process hadn't started well before the election had been called, given that some of the applicants had had their hats in the ring for many months by that point. Well, the association's vice president said that the boundary changes that took place delayed things. Now, those came into effect in 2023. And then he said they had to wait for the green light from up top.
It wasn't like we weren't ready. It was basically we were waiting for National. And we just ran out of time with a snap election, and we got to get going. So we got a very good candidate with Mark McKenzie.
McKenzie also responded to some of the chatter online in the comments, saying in part, "I understand that not everyone is happy. However, if we want to win this riding, we must all unite for the greater good. The hard work has just begun. We must stick together, as I can't do this alone." And he's got the support of some of the other applicants. Kathy Borelli says, "I encourage all Conservatives in the Windsor-Tecumseh Lakeshore riding to rally in support of Mark McKenzie. We need the change that a Pierre Poilievre government will bring to restore the promise of Canada." James Dorner thanked all his supporters and encouraged them all to visit McKenzie's website and vote Conservative.
When people have been promoting someone and they really are enthusiastic about that, which is all healthy, and then they feel like they maybe been denied a right because of timing, I can see why they would be upset. But give them a week or two, I think they'll all come on board and get behind Mark and give him a big push.
We also reached out to the Conservative Party for comment, but we did not hear back. If you're an election junkie, you may have noticed that some of the riding names have changed along with their boundaries. This will be the first federal election since the ridings were redrawn in 2023. So this map here shows the pre-2023 boundaries and the redistribution. Windsor West remains the same. All of Sarnia-Lambton is now in a single riding that also takes in Walpole Island. All of Chatham-Kent is now in the same riding, which also includes Leamington, and the Windsor-Tecumseh riding has expanded to take in a bit of lakeshore up to the Puce River.
Boundaries are redrawn after every census, decennial census, and it's a way to incorporate population changes. And so as the population grow, so does the number of seats. And really, the process is rather complicated because there's all this formula, there's grandfather clause, but at the end of the day, in theory, areas that have increases in population should be rewarded with more seats and different boundaries. Well, I don't know how attached we really are to these ridings. We might be more attached to the representative, and so that sort of changes things, because if you were in, let's say, a riding that had previously been liberal, and now you're in a riding that previously had been conservative, and you voted for the opposite party, that might affect you in some small way.
We'll have more national election coverage later in the program, but let's turn now to other local news. Cancer patients at Windsor Regional Hospital have access to a new treatment tool. The hospital showed off its new linear accelerator today. It's a high-tech radiation machine. CBC was at the ribbon cutting and spoke to hospital officials about what the technology will mean for Windsorites battling cancer.
3, 2, 1.
This brings the latest and evolving technology. So our 3 existing LINACs provide very safe, effective treatments, and so these new machines in many cases require fewer doses and less invasive to patients and less impact to surrounding tissue as radiation is targeting the tumor cells that they're treating.
Why is it so important to have this treatment locally instead of people having to travel up and down the 401?
Well, there's a couple of reasons for that. One is you want patient comfort. If they're being treated for a diagnosis of cancer, they may have side effects or toxicities or symptoms from their cancer where traveling is very difficult. And if we can give that treatment locally, which is a big kind of fundamental foundation of Cancer Care Ontario, keep people local if the technology and the expertise is local in our community, this allows that to happen. So they don't have to travel and stay out of town for sometimes weeks on end.
In other news, the demise of the Hudson Bay Company has brought out bargain hunters. All but 6 Bay stores will close, and Windsor's store is one of the many that will be liquidated. A crowd gathered this morning outside Devonshire Mall waiting for those Bay doors to open. Our Jacob Barker spoke with some of them about the department store closing for good.
I don't like to shop online. I like to touch things. I like to try things on. And I hate to return online stuff, so it's a sad day for Windsor.
Yeah, I guess there is no real department store like this around.
No, there isn't. No, it's part of my youth. And I'm hating to say goodbye to it.
Do you have any stories or something you remember about the place? You say you grew up with it?
Oh my goodness, my aunt and my mother were big Hudson Bay shoppers. They trained me on the china and all the beautiful, delicate things that Hudson Bay was always known for.
So you want to go before it closes, or you want to go because you're going to get some deals?
Well, that too, yeah. I want the sales, yeah. Her mom works here too, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm here a lot. I know they do really nice stuff, so I'm here to get the deals for that.
What do you think about the fact that it's closing?
I'm sad. It's definitely heartbreaking. It's been here forever.
Yeah,
it's like a
forever.
landmark, you know, like it's a nice store too. It is heartbreaking, especially for all the employees as well as the customers.
Are you from Windsor?
Yes.
So do you have any memories of this store at all, or?
Just good ones. I mean, yeah, the things that the Bay has always brought to the community. It's been great.
What do you think about the fact that we're not going to have a real department store like this in the community anymore?
I think it's a shame. That is a real shame. Maybe for younger people, it's a great thing because everyone shops online, but unfortunately, at my point in life, I don't. I like to be in a store where I can buy things.
I'm sad that the Bay, after so many hundreds of years, will no longer be in existence other than the 6 stores that they are trying to save from liquidation.
I think it's very sad, but I think we've only got ourselves to blame because I haven't been shopping here. So.
I mean, Windsor's not going to have a real department store of this nature anymore. Do you think that's a problem?
Well, if we get all of the employment from the batteries and the cars, I think the stores will come to us. But it depends on what happens here.
Take a live look outside there on this gray, windy Monday evening. Though tomorrow things should be a bit nicer, as Colette has mentioned. When we come back, we'll have more coverage of the federal election and what the leaders are promising. That's after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. On the second day of the federal election campaign, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre unveiled his first major plank, an income tax cut larger than the one announced yesterday by the Liberals. As Olivia Stefanovich reports, it's not entirely clear how both parties plan to pay for their costly promises.
Right out of the gate, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre with a major campaign promise.
This is a tax cut that will put Canada first.
A pledge to shave the lowest personal income tax bracket from 15 to 12.75%.
These people behind me, they work hard every day. And yet, at the end of the month, they look at their pay stub and it's tax after tax after tax.
He can't pay for what he announced today.
Poilievre's plan one-ups a pitch made yesterday by the Liberals.
We have a balanced approach. He has a simple approach.
Who want to cut the lowest income tax bracket by 1 percentage point instead of just over 2 percentage points.
How the hell do you intend to do that?
The dueling promises, fodder for criticism from political rivals.
Yeah, we need to give a tax break to the middle class, but let's give it just the middle class, not to millionaires. And their plan doesn't distinguish. And that, I think, is a massive problem. I think most Canadians would agree.
The tax reductions would indeed help the majority of Canadians, no matter how wealthy they are. Under the Liberal plan, the average worker would save a little more than $400 a year. Under the Conservative plan, that figure jumps to $900.
I don't think you want to let the election pass without telling people how you're going to get to these numbers.
Both proposals would be phased in. The estimated price tag, almost $6 billion a year for the Liberal tax cut, and up to $14 billion annually for the Conservatives.
We know that something has to give. We know there have to be cuts.
But the leaders aren't saying specifically what those cuts will be. So far, Poilievre says he will eliminate government waste and bureaucracy, while Carney says he will review federal spending programs. The fine details to be released later in the campaign when the parties put out their costed platforms. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Ottawa.
When it comes to reaching voters, Canada's major party leaders are using different tactics. Yvette Brand looks at what each are doing and how some Canadians are responding.
Mike Myers, what are you doing here?
In less than 24 hours, about 10 million people watched Mark Carney's newest ad, which featured a big assist from Mike Myers.
What are the two seasons in Toronto? Winter and construction? Wow, you really are Canadian.
The use of the Canadian celebrity seemingly part of the Liberal leader's strategy.
It's all invoking this idea that this is Team Canada.
As to whether it's hitting, those reviews are mixed.
Well, it's not genuine. I mean, it's important to me, but it's not genuine.
But Carney's not alone with his patriotic appeal.
So when Pierre says, it doesn't matter who you know or where you're from,
Pierre Poilievre has used Canada First as a rallying cry while also trying to highlight his family, his wife, the voice behind some of his ads.
His children know him in Francais, Espanol, and English as Papa.
So introducing himself and his family is a kind of a first family vibe, if you like, to show that this is a family like any other that has the same kind of concerns as Canadians.
Of course it's a tactic. It's not a bad one, obviously.
I worked for minimum wage to take care of my family when my dad was sick.
NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is also trying to deliver a personal touch.
I retie my turban at least once a day just to
getting in on a hot TikTok trend. In what's known as a Get Ready With Me video, Singh is hoping to grab the attention of young people. Already it's had more than 4 million views.
They believe they can bring in the first-time voters into their fold, which is going to help that party grow.
But it's not enough to capture this potential voter.
It's embarrassed to say I never participated in an election, even though I hear sometimes they knock on my door.
While the campaign is only just beginning, in this short race, parties will have to get creative to find new ways to meet busy Canadians where they're at, even if that differs from person to person. Yvette Brand, CBC News, Vancouver.
And dates have been announced for 2 federal leaders' debates. The government commission that organizes the events says a French debate will be held on April 16th with an English debate on April 17th. Both will be held in Montreal. And for all your election coverage, you can always go online. And Colette will be with us right after the break. Stay with us. Colette Kennedy is back with us now for more on weather. Colette, today, not a very nice day, but things are looking up for as we look tomorrow and onwards.
Yeah, it gets a little gloomy, right, when you don't have as much sun and, you know, gray skies, and you're like, oh, but I know it's spring, and yeah, windy conditions, all of the things. But we're actually getting some clearing, not quite yet, but as we get a little deeper into these evening hours, we're going to have the skies clearing, and it sets us up, although it'll be somewhat kind of variable, it sets us up for getting some sunshine in there to enjoy tomorrow. Our current temperatures, we've slid to 2 degrees here, pair of 3, Sarnia, Chatham, Kent, and you have 3 degrees there as well. Got to factor in these winds. They have been pretty blustery at times. Just the sustained winds alone, over 35 kilometers an hour for Windsor and nearly 30 there, Chatham, Kent, and right at for Sarnia. And then these are the wind gusts. So the winds coming out of the west over 50 kilometers an hour at 50 for London. So there's an upper level low that's it's closer to Georgian Bay, or just kind of north of into northeastern Ontario. And with that spinning, it's really churning up the atmosphere and these winds. So they get a little bit better tomorrow, but really it's still going to be kind of a breezy day, especially tonight and into the morning hours before things kind of change over. We've had a few sprinkles just recently being reported there at the reporting station, and a few wet flurries possible before. I did say we were going to get into clearing. Let's roll this forward, and you see here, this is 10 p.m. Pretty nice. We're starting to get those clouds eroding, and then this is why it's a bit of a mix of sun and cloud here through the day tomorrow. Still that rotation in the wake of the frontal boundary that went through, and so we'll deal with that into Wednesday even. It's a pretty slim chance. I've stopped this at 7 a.m., but on Wednesday I did put about a 30% chance for some wet flurries back into our skies, because there is that slim chance there. I'm not talking about accumulations. However, if you're going to be doing any traveling up towards the snow belt, towards the Bruce Peninsula, areas like that, getting some lake enhancement, and so maybe 5 to even 10 centimeters between not just tomorrow, but the 2 days, putting that Wednesday in there as well. So here are those winds coming on in over 50 kilometers an hour, still with those gusts. Then tomorrow morning, still over 40, and then tomorrow afternoon and evening, that's when they're backing off a little bit and things improve somewhat. Tonight, that low down to 0. And with the winds, it's going to feel cooler than that. But look at this, 9 degrees for tomorrow. So that's going to feel a bit better once the winds ease. And then we do get into some teens as the week wears on, Katerina.
Yeah, something to look forward to. Thank you so much, Colette. And thanks to you all for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow night.
Good night.